Hello and welcome. I'm Raghav and welcome to this episode of Sunday Special. Today I am going to discuss with you something very useful, and I can promise you that if you are able to understand and practice the tips that I am going to tell you, you can increase your productivity of working at least 10x. This is my promise, and whatever I am going to share with you today is based on my personal experience. So please watch the entire video very carefully and let's get started. You must have watched a lot of inspirational videos and motivational talks, and it happens every time that we watch these kind of videos or talks. We feel so much energized, we feel so much excited, so much motivated, and then we decide that we are going to carry on with this motivation, with this inspiration, and we start doing our work with complete and full enthusiasm. Now this energy, this enthusiasm works for a few days, but after a few days or a few weeks we seem to lose the momentum, and then we come back to our normal routine. Now there is a little science behind this. Our brains always push us for doing something which is very interesting, very exciting, very challenging, and also something easier sometimes, but it is something that releases more and more of dopamine, because our brains like this release of dopamines, and therefore we are always attracted towards these kind of things. For example, playing of video games, we always are very excited, very enthusiastic whenever we play video games, and we can play these games for a long time. Sometimes we can skip our meals and still we play our video games. Now imagine if you can do your work in the same way, how exciting that would be. So the first step is, if you can gamify your work, that is, you can do your work as if you are playing a game or a video game, that can actually increase your productivity many times. Now to do that, there are some tips, like you can divide your work in levels or divide your work into segments, and then each segment can become a level, and whenever you complete one level you can reward yourself. So you can decide what reward you are going to give yourself, and then you can actually create a plan. You can write it down that I am going to complete this level and then I am going to reward myself. This is one way. You can also create very focused and distraction free time zones or time intervals, so that you can say that for 30 minutes I am going to completely focus on this particular level or this particular segment. You can switch off all your notifications during this time, and after you complete this particular time or this particular segment, then you can reward yourself, and you can plan a reward in advance, so that your brains will know that once I complete this particular thing, I'm going to get something that I really like, and this will release more and more dopamine, and it will actually push you towards doing and completing that work. Now you can also make use of some technology and apps. I will show you an app that I always use, and I believe I have shown this in my last video as well. This app is called Productivity Challenge Timer, and this actually works on the Pomodoro technique, that it can create segments or batches of focused time, and you can decide the time schedule like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and you can put the timer, and after that you can also have a break time where you can reward yourself. So you can use these kind of apps and gamify your work. This was the first tip, that you gamify your work. The second tip is plan and organize. So before you start doing your work, always plan and write on a piece of paper. Now what I always do is, before starting my day, I always decide 3 or 4 top works that I have to do, or 3 or 4 top things I have to complete, and I actually create a list, something like this. So you can see this is a list I have created for April 5. I will create these check boxes and I will write the work I will be completing, and this will be very handy, very useful, so that you always have this in front of you, and as you complete one thing or you complete your work, you can do a tick mark, and at the end you can also create a check box or an item for reward, and you can actually mention, for example, sometimes I really like watching some particular movie. I put that as a reward, that after I complete these 4 things I am going to watch this particular movie. So this will always push you and make you very much focused, planned and organized. Now this may look as a very simple thing, but believe me, if you do this regularly, you can increase your productivity many folds, and then you will also have a complete kind of a documentation that you can go back and see and make yourself proud that I have completed all this in the last 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 months, 4 months and so on. So this was tip number 2. Tip number 3 is have a dopamine detox plan. Now, as I told you that whenever we work on something very exciting, or whenever we plan a reward for ourselves, that is something we really like doing. It can be watching a movie, it can be checking our social accounts, or watching some YouTube videos, all these kind of rewards. These activities release a lot of dopamine, and that is why we are attracted towards doing these kind of things. We have already seen how we can use this activity or the craving of the brain for our benefit and making our brains get our works done. But the bad side or the flip side is that our brains get used to this level of dopamine, and very soon it becomes a new normal for the brain. So if you are doing some activities or planning your work in a way that it releases a lot of dopamine, you will feel excited, energized, and you will do all your work very well for a few days. But then it becomes a new normal for the brain, and it will start losing its energy, enthusiasm, and the cravings with the same amount of dopamine. So for that you have to go to a different level, like we go to a different new level of a video game which is more challenging and more exciting. It is similar like if you keep playing the same level of a video game, you will feel bored and then you will no longer want to play it. Then you have to go to the next level, a more exciting and a challenging level. Now in our work, we may not be able to create a new work or a new challenging reward every time, but then what we can do is have a day or have half a day where you will keep yourself away from any of these dopamine releasing activities, like whatever the rewards you have planned. It is something similar like if you are eating your favorite hotels or restaurants food every day, you will not feel very excited if somebody offers you a very simple home cooked food. But if you are stranded on an island for a day and you do not have much options of eating there, when you come back, even a very simple home cooked food will excite you, will be very interesting to you. So you can plan one day or at least half a day where you will not do any activity, whether it is checking your emails, watching any movie, watching YouTube videos, playing video games, at least half a day or if possible one day, so that our brain comes back to our normal stage, and then the same activities that you do for releasing dopamine and rewarding your brains, they will again excite your brains. So this is how you can increase your productivity manifold, and everything is from my personal experience. Please try it out and you will see the difference. Do let me know in the comment section how did you like this video and what more you want in Sunday Special. I will meet you in the next episode of Sunday Special. Thank you for watching.